Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this platform of choice today. In these unique times, it is definitely the platform of choice. Many people in our country are currently at home bored, worrying about catching cabin fever. As car wash owners, though, you and I, may actually be busier than ever. Staffing, employee concerns, health departments, loan adjustments, payroll coverage application process alone, they just burn up the days. So when some of these more critical issues get handled, more timely issues get handled, you may find yourself looking through the web pages of available properties, considering the months and years ahead, brighter future, and more importantly, the potential of car washes. So this is why we're here in this session, is to consider the future and how Insite Analytics can help make it successful for you. Insite Analytics is the most sophisticated, data-driven, proforma site analysis tool in the industry. Years of development. Industry insight from sophisticated operators, veterans, statistical wizards, they've all been part of the construction. It's taken years and a pile of knowledge to bring it about. It hasn't always been such a complicated process. Locating a property, determining CapEx estimates, producing the necessary documentation for lenders. As a third generation car washer, I can recall and reconstruct the overly simple approach my grandfather had towards car washing. It wasn't until the 80s when my dad began using the rudimentary documentation that they had at the time to determine how sites would perform. In the 90s, they progressed a bit. They were better, but they still had the feel of a manufacturer saying, of course it's a good site. Now buy some equipment. I think they kind of were. We are in the time where requirements, scrutiny is different. A total project can easily range between $4 and $8 million. Not only has the scale grown dramatically for the project cost, but the level of scrutiny by the lenders has followed. This is why we felt it necessary to spend time, energy, and capital to invest in you by producing this tool. This is a premium level report for customers of ours who are committed to NCS as their project moves forward. However, it can also be purchased if you're not at that point in the process. And we can always use the classic free version if you're trying to kick the dust on a property before diving deeper. The classic version is the industry standard type of analytics with basic equations, simple prepared reports. Insite Analytics considers many more aspects that we know affect wash volumes, ticket averages, expense ratios, and ultimately profitability. In the 48 pages of data-driven answers, you will find the attributes and the scoring of a potential site. It rates them overall and individually for clarity. Charts showing key performance indicators for categories with the projections like retail sales and memberships. Capital expenditure charting to make sure allocations are both realistic and appropriate. As you work with your NCS representative, they will provide a team of subject matter experts. They will meet with you on all aspects of the project. Summary tables are included. They show a condensed version of all the data for quick reference. This includes things like volume breakdowns, revenues, expense ratios, and the most important aspects, net income, return on investment, cash flow, and cap rates. Further in, you can review realistic profit and loss statements built by field research with existing operations. Examining these very specific expense categories, not only will you be able to walk through the math, but you can walk through it with your lender or the underwriters or investors will be able to dig into the data. So there's 3 typical scenarios we see customers need this level of sophistication in their projection models. So first, single site you're working on, you're fairly certain it's a good location or a great location, not sure. Well, having another set of professionals involved to help fill out your SWOT analysis can often make a good site a great site, or a mediocre location simply one you pass on. Comparing investment opportunities. Time and money are always limited, so choosing the best of several sites, it can be difficult on your own, even in a group. Analysis paralysis can come around from trying to compare the sites. As an individual, there's just not enough data to compare multiple locations on a level playing field. Loan or investor approval. They need to be able to quantify the risk versus reward scenario to ensure their capital is protected and it's a sound investment. And really, you're doing the same for yourself as well. How we dig in deeper, find more insight, and focus you in on the most profitable opportunities is what we are completely focused on. It's truly in all the variables. Any experienced operator can tell you things, if they could change about their site, would bring about substantially more revenue or profitability. The hard part of that is that every location is unique, and you may get a different answer from that operator depending upon the season, or sometimes depending upon the week. So trying to really divine out which variables are important, that's what we've been after. So it's all in the variables. The classic proformas commonly have considered traffic count, of course, demographics, drive times, and a generalized category of how many competitors are in the area. Insite analytics takes the amount of variables considered to an entirely different level. There are 21 specific that we know affect volumes, ticket averages, expense ratios, and profitability. They're all accounted for. And we take it a step further. Each one of those we dig deeper to understand the importance of the category. What other factors might influence it? And we come up with groups of independent and dependent relationships. This is a lot to take in, but let's take a look at a few aspects closer in more detail as examples to illustrate the importance. So here I've called out traffic quantity and retail draw and traffic quality. So traffic quantity is not a good number to plug into a site analysis, although everyone does, because the quantity has to be qualified. So think of a site that has 25 to 30,000 cars per day traveling on it, on the street in front of it. Envision that in your mind. Now, you, me, and the next person, we all envision the same traffic count, but we likely had completely different streets. So on your street, what percentage of the traffic was commuter? They're less likely to pull off the street and purchase a car wash until they get closer to home. What percentage of your vehicles on your street were commercial traffic or truck traffic? They're never going to use our wash, but they're still counted in the numbers. Are these vehicles traveling at 35, 40, or 45 miles per hour? In this way, the relationship between traffic quantity and quality can be sorted to find the true value of that street traffic. A slightly more complex relationship is alive and well here between your retail draw and traffic quantity. Retail draw is measured by the amount and type of other businesses within your particular development. In this simplified scenario, we can see property A, which is in a retail development, and property B, which is not. They both enjoy 33,000 cars per day in front of their properties. But location A has an exhilarating quality in the retail draw. It's plain to all of us that many of those travelers will be pulling into the retail to shop at these complementary businesses. When they are in the parking lots and in the internal drives, they're much more likely to make a purchase decision with us because they have a break in their schedule. They're already in the purchasing mindset because they're going to the store, or they're going to check off another to-do to be efficient. For all of these reasons, we gain a higher percentage of that traffic in a retail environment. So we have to assign values to these retail stores because not every retail development looks like the other. But before we do that, let's look back at Site B. Now you and I are acutely aware of how those customers driving by, those potential customers, they have fewer ulterior motives to leave the flow of traffic. So this makes the same 33,000 less valuable than at Site A. To clarify, this is not saying that Site B is a bad site or it's something you wouldn't consider. It's simply a way to illustrate the effect that one variable can have on another and the corresponding results. To prove this, in fact, my partners and I, we have 2 locations, 2 express washes. Neither one of them is in a retail development, and both do well over 200,000 cars annually with respectable, even strong ticket averages. So retail, albeit a fantastic contributor, is not the single source of successful locations. Really, there isn't any one variable that can claim that as the title. We will see they're all important. So here's an overview of why and how retail draw becomes a weighted portion of the calculations. You can see that we have a range of businesses right through the middle. Across the top is how far the customers will come. They'll drive to purchase from these businesses. The bottom shows a range of purchase frequency. High frequencies on the left, lower is on the right. So let's first consider Costco or a similar bulk purchase retailer. Customers will drive 15 or more miles without concern to get to these stores, but they may only go there every 3 to 6 weeks. It's still fantastic because not only does it bring customers from outside of our normal potential market area, but it also anchors higher frequency retailers. So let's look at the higher frequency ones on the other end of the spectrum. Starbucks and fast food establishments, they bring customers right in line of sight of this location weekly or even daily. Grocery stores are in the middle. They round out the most advantageous allies. They're a perfect blend between draw radius and frequency. So it's common knowledge to say that having all of these business types in your development would be home run city. However, sites like that are few and far between. And they're still subject to demographics, competition, layout, other variables. It's tempting, but we have to resist the home run declaration over a single variable. It's been a hard lesson to learn for many to realize that Walmart can build a location with the intent of being profitable in 5 or more years. As car washers, we are capitalized in a slightly different way, and we can't wait for 5 years to be profitable. We can't wait for 5 years for the growth to fill in. So another example of this relationship between site variables is shown here in this next set with tunnel length, pay stations, and vacuum quantity. So On one side of the analysis, we use building size, tunnel length, visibility as a positive value in the equations, meaning having a strong street presence draws attention to you and basically acts as an ever-renewing marketing piece for the site. However, in this set that we're looking at, they're actually inhibitors or governors to the volume of the site. So as you look at this location, you see a small footprint property, 100-foot tunnel, 2 pay stations in front, 12 vacuums, and I've placed general numbers on how many cars each section of the wash can process. Of course, these numbers can vary. Like with pay stations, if you have 3 menu options rather than 4 or 5, it's a much faster decision process, so they get through quicker. It simply takes less time to make a purchase decision, and memberships take no time to make a purchase decision, so they are really fast and good at increasing our throughput. So the higher percentage of your customers that are members, the faster the throughput of your pay stations. These are the type of variables that we want to look into as inhibiting factors. So if I reach even farther, like the quantity of stacking, we can see another inhibitor to the wash volumes. Without adequate stacking, we certainly will have days where we're losing customers. They can't pull onto the property and queue properly. In fact, in this location, we may have the police visiting because of street traffic. All right, so to clarify, these data points used in the site analysis, the inhibiting factor data points, these are just a few of them. So no matter how many car washes the location could drive, our site layout may also have a hand in the actual volume produced. So in this scenario, we can quickly see maximum hourly volume and in turn daily volume. So it'll be throttled on very busy days. Your NCS rep and the team of field-specific experts will work through a site like this in order to reduce those pinch points and capture as much of the potential business as the site will allow. In this scenario, examples of that would be really driving membership, either through cost, marketing, promotions, having a belt, and being able to load vehicles faster, adding an exit to the street if that was allowed before your vacuums, so customers didn't necessarily have to drive through all of the vacuums. So those are just a few quick ones that would be considered in how to maximize the output of the site. So let's move over to a more controversial topic of competition and how close is too close. How many is too many? How can you ensure that you'll have a long-term, high return on investment? In this ever-evolving discussion, often it is said that X amount of miles is the right distance apart, or X amount is too close. But I imagine you'll be shocked when I tell you it's much more complicated than that. You shouldn't be, it is. So let's say for example, if you were on the other side of a divided highway from the other location, that is a huge psychological barrier. You're on different traffic patterns. That would be one example of where it's more complicated than that. But if you, in general purposes, can hit a golf ball with your driver and hit another express tunnel, you've definitely pushed it. All jesting aside, it's rare. I've seen locations like this within a mile of each other that you would really consider to be highly successful locations. There are those sites, though. There are exceptions to every rule. So when scouting a property, it will definitely save you time to look outside of that radius first for a location. When we calculate the weight of competition, we took it very seriously. Not only did we include express tunnels and the standard 1 to 3 mile radiuses and drive times, but we also include the strength of these locations. Shopping destinations, psychological barriers, like I mentioned before, full service, flex service, petroleum sites, self-service automatics. Many will tell you these don't compete, and in part that's true. But like it or not, if someone washes a car of any type in any type of car wash, it takes that car off the street for 1 to 5 weeks on average. So we weight them differently. We score them differently, but we don't just score them by wash type. It's strength, marketing, pricing, membership programs. So careful considerations were given to competition using databases like this that we've built over time using search criteria and ICA's database and building off of that. But it's literally taken years. The growing list of announced car washes we build into that are opening or under construction. And here you can see that each color represents a type of wash in the database. So this is where we're going to look at and drill down to the facility, look at their layout, their current operational strength, pricing, marketing. Overall, the management of the location, whether it's new or old, can greatly influence how customers view and frequent their car wash. So we don't just want to do the build it and they will come. That's a pitfall of many. So we go the opposite direction and take it even more seriously. So here's some marketing. Speaking of marketing, this is what we're always hoping for when looking at the competition, right? But keep in mind, this may actually be a fantastic diamond in the rough, worthy of you buying and remodeling rather than building next door, new construction, and then 3 months later having someone else buy and remodel this property that had this marketing. So buying a refresh and renew site, as we term it, it may be better financially and be able to happen in a third of the time as construction. So refresh and renew can also be part of this process as we go through. So to the point, marketing both on-site and out to the customer base is critical on the competitive stage. And having vendor partners that guide or recommend ideas, that push the envelope, they push you to be better, to your staff to be better, your marketing to be better. Those are the vendor partners that you want to be in with. And that brings lines of customers like Royal Wash has here in this great picture. But they bring them on a consistent basis. So marketing efforts is a variable in our equations. Management experience and execution, those are also included. So these were a few of the variables we covered out of the 21 in this session, and they make up the data and the equations of Insite Analytics. After hundreds of customers have used Insite Analytics, we have been pushed to do better. The seriousness and detail-oriented financial considerations now that operators have been forced in by lenders, by project costs, all of the driving factors that make us be better has flowed through to us. And we took the time, energy, and invested the same so that we can bring it back to you. So it's a market like we've never seen before, not just in project costs, but wash volumes, how many sites are going up, the Equity investors coming into the market. Well, they've been in the market, but continuing to come into the market. So the appropriate method of evaluating is even more important now. So we're capable and ready to work through any of the versions. If you remember back to the early part of this session, you can see here the available options, whether premium, full, or classic choices. Premium is designed to be no cost to you. So the $10,000 fee is actually in the form of a deposit, which credits against your equipment. So when you purchase equipment through the supply chain agreement, that washes out. Full is the option for those who see the value or need the in-depth analysis, but are not quite there in committing to moving forward with us. So the $15,000 in this instance is a fee. This fee purchases you up to 3 reports for comparing locations or updating a previously evaluated site. Of course, classic analysis are always available upon request at no charge. Depending on the area of your country, you can reach out to any of our sales representatives to discuss these options further. Here our reps are grouped by region and specific states where that applies. They're happy to walk through this information again with you, dig in deeper, set up a team meeting where you can ask questions one-on-one with the subject matter experts. This would be on equipment, marketing, site layout, chemical packages tied in with the services offered and menus, vacuum layouts, sizes, lighting, vacuum marketing, pay station setups with RFID versus license plate technology, driving memberships. All of these specific areas are covered in a single meeting for you. There truly is not a better way to cover all these topics than with 5 subject matter experts together in a virtual room. So I thank you for choosing to spend time with us today. We look forward to answering your questions. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's look forward to going back for groceries and washing cars with a sense of normalcy again real soon.